released their fourth studio album last month, Dancing on the Wall, after 4 singles predated the release. This strikes a bold departure from their self-titled album in 2022. However, that project most definitely laid the groundwork for what was to come on their 2026 release. For instance, the pop banger Girls Girl is very reminiscent of Silk Chiffon, with the tongue-in-cheek lyrics and catchy instrumental riffs, while Why Do I Get a Good Feeling is the grown-up sister to Runners High. For me, this is easily Muna's best project to date. The base pillars to Dancing on the Wall are that it's a sweaty, sexy and fun summer album. It's everything I want to hear in a pop album, but in typical Muna fashion it holds layers of political angst, yearning and growth in its lyricism. Sonically, it is clearly in conversation with the synth dance pop that has come before in the 80s/90s, with new wave guitars, poppy drum machines and vocal overdubs that are directly in contrast with the queer lyricism. EDM influence drops and contemporary instrumentation. It's a project that is clearly of its time, but also could have easily come out in the decade of dance synth pop, which is the 80s into the 90s. It doesn't get stuck trying to be a direct copy of those decades. It plays homage while also being its own standalone project. The only other projects or artists I can think of that do this are Pink Pantheress, Zara Larsson's Midnight Sun released last year, and Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. My single complaint about this album is that the interlude, titled Unless, feels confusing as an interlude and a standalone track. The strings are extravagant and lush, but I don't know why it's its own standalone track. However, other than that, the album is impeccably sequenced and tells a story from flirtatious dance floor antics on It Gets So Hot to existentialism on the closing track Buzzkiller, while we travel through confusing jealousy for lust on Wanna Be Her, which the band has said was heavily inspired by the Riot Girl punk movement, and that inspiration comes through strongly but subtly. Deal with Addiction on Mary Jane, and the feeling of being enough on your own on second single So What. It's a human story written in the political landscape that is 2026, which is enough to make anyone dabble in existentialism. Speaking of politics, Muna has never shied away from being a political band. For instance, the live version of I Know a Place from their debut album features the band singing He's Not My President in an extended verse. However, the 8th track on their new album is the most overtly political the band has ever been, detailing the capitalist and consumerist nature of business and social media, the individualism which is rife within our communities, and the wars being started and aided by our political leaders over a moving and empowering baseline. We give weapons to dictators in apartheid states, we give kids in Palestine PTSD, but we'll never fucking ever give them something to eat. And if you've got a problem with it, you could end up in jail. Send you to Louisiana $1 million bail. So What, which I briefly mentioned earlier, is one of the most interesting songs that shows where the members of Muna's minds must have been while they were making this album, and also clearly details one of the stories they are trying to convey on this 4th album, which is the emptiness of life at times. So What does its best to conceal its heartbreak behind free drinks at bougie parties. However, these defences, which we all fall victim to, are soon shattered by the hollow nature of it all. The reviews that came in, the fangirls and harshest critics are all in agreement. She boasts of all the strangers who claim to love her while really not knowing her at all. It's our best work without you in it. This for anyone can create a jarring relationship with oneself, being rejected as the song details, but being able to log in online and see someone thousands of miles away that claims you're the best thing since sliced bread, and they would lay themselves on the line for you, is not normal. Not to say there's anything wrong with fangirls, because there isn't, and there's enough of that rhetoric online. What I mean is the psyche of the famous person hearing that. They're living a complete juxtaposition between real-world actions. In this case, being rejected by someone, but then going online and seeing words of, well, everyone loves me, so who cares? This isn't the normal way to process rejection, and would and clearly does confuse the brain profusely. It's a concept I haven't heard anyone talk about in song format before, so this really stood out for me from this track list. The synth breakdown at the end of So What is one of my top production moments on this album. It holds the message and feeling of confusion prevalent in the lyrics sonically. Girls Girl is a fun, enthusiastic song which sees catchy guitar riffs catch our interest as Katie Gavin bemoans the nerve of a hottie who wants to date anyone but her. This song also is a cheeky play into how lesbians in certain areas, cough London, LA, New York, know each other and eventually date each other's exes, best friends, etc. Similarly, the Bridge of East Side Girls rolls out a list of sapphic essentials: astrology, non-monogamy, gender-affirming healthcare. It's one of the lighter moments on this collection of 13 tracks. However, Girls Girl and Mary Jane are the only songs that condemn the outside world. The rest of the songs point the blame inwards, exposing the habits and stupid things we do when desire hijacks our brain. The title track and encore pair punchy, deceptively upbeat production with tales of self-delusion and romantic martyrdom. Why Do I Get a Good Feeling recounts a self-destructive crush over a swirling garage lit beat, documenting someone running towards clear red flags because they haven't done the inner work to understand why they're attracted to someone who is obviously bad for them. The closing track is the down-tempo minor key track, which is Buzzkiller, which at its core is the feeling of knowing too much about something and therefore bringing down the room alongside with you. In Muna's case, I think this is specifically about politics and the state of the world. The band is experiencing success, but it's ultimately in a broken system, and they're in a privileged position to be experiencing what they are. That's bittersweet, and maybe it would feel better and bring them more happiness if they weren't tuned into what's happening around them. And the band's doing well. I mean, we're doing alright, but I'm past my prime and everyone knows it. I made it to the protest, the speech made me cry, but then I came home and I still feel hopeless. It's the emotional aftermath of earlier track Big Stick and the perfect closer for this album and story. The phrase I think sums up this fourth album from Muna is dance floor hedonism. Muna aren't cynical enough to try and just cash in on dance floor fillers, but they're also not gullible enough to think a pop song will change the world. The record is heavily interested in the truth of their own pleasures and failures, while also balancing, and I would say nailing, the thin line that lives between light and dark, embracing the good and the dirty and how these opposites can make us whole and connect us to each other, all while creating a cohesive project that lives in this world of futuristic synth pop.